Alright, Title 49 CFR, Chapter 10, Part 1201, Subpart A, Uniform System Accounts, Regulation Prescribed. Alright, list of the instruction account. The regulation prescribed the carriers related subject to the provision of the Interstate Commerce with the Act or not independently operated with electrical line with the easier or lesser of the east of the carrier comply with the regulation. Part of the presented here and the definition of ban with the means of withdrawal of the transportation surface of the branch line over the tracks over the facility of the representative of the permanent with the reduction of the plant accounts means over the account with the prescribed with the system of the account the actual issue to apply to the fund with the debt with the script of the capital stop the issue with the assume with the company means with those of which of the total of the bona fide of the purchaser hold the valuable consideration include those issues the exchange with the such of the security other property for the such for the purchase for the hold of the security for the free for the control of the carry of the all security issue with the dividends of the stock actual outstanding applied with the funding with the debt with the security of the capital stock the issue with the assumed by the carrier neither which have an actually issue with either neither retired or canceled nor required and held for the accounting company with the affiliated companies mean with the company with the person with the directly indirectly through one or more with the intermediate commodity that are controlled by under the common control of the accounting carrier. Control include the term of the control by under common control with the possession of the directly indirectly with the power to directly call the direction of the management policy with the company with or such for the power exercised through one or more of the intermediate company alone in conjunction with the pursuit of the agreement with the such of the power established through the majority and minority or ownership of the voting with the securities the common direction with the office of stockholder the voting trust the holding trust the associated company contractor any other direct or indirect means. Harmonization means the gradual extinguishment of the amount of the account with the distributing such amount of the fixed portion fixed period dependent of the requirement of the regulatory bodies of the life of the assessment asset of the liability which apply with the over the period of the term with which the anticipated benefit that was realized. Some of the carrier that you the herein were not with the otherwise indicate with the context mean with the carrier to which for the system account for the applicable. 8. Consolidation mean with the formation of the new company. See illustrated construction 215. Board mean with the sort of the transportation board. 10. Compensation balance means the portion of the demand positive at the time deposit of the certificated deposit maintained by the carrier any person on the behalf of the carrier which consists of the support of the existing borrowing arrangement of the carrier with the lending institution such arrangement that include both outstanding borrowing with the assurance of the future credit availability compensation balance requirements should be adjusted with the amount of the flow of the, unless the adjustment was caused by the compensation balance of the greater than the cash balance by the pure carrier's book. Float adjustment is made with the subtracting the flow of the compensation balance requirements of the collective of the bank ledger's balance exceed with the cash balance of the per cashier's book and by adding the float with the compensation balance requirement of the collected bank ledger with the balance is less than cash benefits balance per carrier's book. Alright, A. A float means for the deposit, for the withdrawal, for the transfer, for the constitute, with the difference between the collected bank with the lender's balance, for the cashier's balance per carrier's book. 11. Cost center refer to the organization's subdivision with the cost of the data, with the desire for the provision made to accumulate costs of the terminal over the track segment with the cost of the term with the corresponding with the given the responsibility with the cost of the presently accumulated with the planning with the control of the cost of the term with the small segment of activity or of the responsible which of the cost of the accumulated with the directly traceable. 12. The cost of renewal means the cost of additional material of the ply other than value assessed assigned with the second hand with the part of the cost of the labor to use within the rebuild for the process of the exclusive of the portion application applicable to dismantling or repairing of the old parts reused. 13. Cost of removal of the mean with the cost of the demolishing, dismantling, tearing down, otherwise remove the property. 14. Debit issue with the cost of the cost of the connection with the issue and sale of the evidence of the debit that such with the fee of the drafting mortgage of the trustee and for either the issue with the recording evidence of the debt, the cost of engraving the printing of the bond, the certificate of the evidence for the fee of the paid of the trust for the specific of the obtaining government authorities fees, legal service fee for the commission for the paid under writers, brokers, salesperson, marketing, such evidence for the debt fee, cost listing of the exchange of the other like costs. 15. Discount applied with the phone with the debt with the security with the capital stock for the issue for the assume with the care with the meaning with the excess of the payer with the face value with the security applied with the interest of the dividends accrued with the date of sale over the cash with the consideration received with the sale. 16. Equity security encompasses for the instrument that represents the ownership of the common, the preferred for the other, capital stock for the right of the acquire with the right warrant right for the call for the option for the dispose of the put of the option, ownership of the interest of the fixed determinable, private the term of the design encompasses preferred stock. That in terms that must redeem the issue of their enterprise the redeem of the option investment in order to include the treasury stock and convertible bonds. A. The marketability applicable to the security of the meaning of the equity security which is able to pay prices of the beta side after the beta currently available to the National Security Exchange though if the register for the Security Exchange Commission in and over the counter of the market and the over counter market the equity security shall be considered the marketable when the quotation of the public reported by the National Association of Security Dealer automatic quotation system by the National Quotation Bureau of the incorporated to provide a later case of that in quotations available to the lead for the retailers equatable security Traded with the foreign market shall be considered the marketable of the Dutch market with the breadth of the scope of the comparable to referred to above the definitions not to be met with the restricted with the security with which the sale of the restricted with the governmental with the contractual government except of the respect with the requirement that terminates with 1 year where the holder of the power to give the requirement to meet the bid with 1 year and with a portion of the stock which can be reasonably expected to qualify the sale with the 1 year such as may be the case of the rule 144 similar rule of the Security Exchange Commission is not considered restricted. B. Market value of the referred for the aggregate of the market price for the single share of the unit time with the number of the share of the unit of each of the marketable security equity security in the portfolio with an equity take of the position involving short sale with short calls. Purchase puts for the marketable equity security the same security included the portfolio of these contracts shall be taken into consideration determination of the market value of the marketable equity security. 6. C. Cost of the display of the market table of the security that refers to the original cost of the adjustment of the unrealized holding and gains losses. 17. Income tax based on the income determined under the provisions of the United States with the Internal Revenue Code of the foreign state with the other taxes included the franchise taxes for the income, B with the income tax expense with the amount of the income tax whether they're not currently payable or refundable applicable to the period of the determination of net income. The pre-tax account income means income less of the period with the exclusive of the related income tax expenses. Taxable income neither the expense of the revenue the deduction of the over the revenue with the report with the income tax for the period. Time differences mean the difference between the period of which of the transaction taxable income of the period of which the enter of the determination pre-tax accounting income the time of the difference originate with the one period of reversing the turnaround one or more subsequent periods sometimes the differencing reducing the income tax with the otherwise pay payable currently with the other income tax except with otherwise payable currently. 5. F. The permanent difference. The difference between the taxable income of the pre-tax and the accountable interest arising from the transaction under applicable tax law regulation will not also for the corresponding difference for the turnaround in the other periods. G. Tax of F is mean with the difference of the income tax for the period attributed with the one revenue expense for the transaction into the determination pre-tax for the accounting income of the one period into the determination taxable income in another period. 2. The deduction credits that may be carried for the backward forward the income tax purposes. 3. Adjustment of the prior period with the direct entry for the other stakeholders in the equity account with the one entry for the determination taxable income period, but does not enter for the determination pre-tax income owning income of the period with the permanent difference if it does not result of the tax income of the term used in the definition. 8. Deferred taxes mean with the taxes effect with the deferred allocation of the income tax expense for the future periods. Inter-period tax allocation mean with the process of the proportion of the income tax among periods. J. Tax allocation for the period mean with the proportion of the income tax of the expense applicable to given the period between the income of the expenditure extraordinary items extraordinary items associated with the income of the effect of the adjustment of the per period's direct entry of the other stockholders and equity accounts of these items. 8. Investors means the business that needed to hold the investment of the voting stock other investee with the means of the corporate investee with the corporation the issue of the voting stock that held with the investor. Corporate joint venture with a complete company owned by the operator of the separate specific business project with the mutual benefit of members of the group, the joint facility for the purpose of the system of the account with the non-considered the corporate joint ventures. D. Dividends. When applied with the distribution received by the investee, unless the otherwise specified the dividends received with the receivable in cash or other asset with another class of the stock does not include with the stock of the dividends of the stock splits. E. The earnings loss of the investee of the investor over the financial position of the investor of the referred to the net income of the net loss financial position of the investor of the determined the corner of the general accepted accounting principles. F. Undistributed earnings of the investor over the mean of the net income of the less dividend with the declared with the received not with the G of the day of the acquisition day with the which for the investor would assume investee with assume for the right of the ownership of the ordinary with this of the day the assess for the received the other assess are given in security issues. 19. Joint facility. Mean of the owner of the less carrier of the operating property occupied with the operated jointly by carrier the one or more of the carrier of the owner of the arrangement whereby the cost of income of the portion of the part of the joint agreement the portion of the structure of the other property used exclusively each of the two or more carriers not joint facilities. Ledger value. The accounting mean of the unappreciated unamortized cost of the acquisition item of the carrier of the report with the general ledger with the case for the cost of any of the item property with the shown separately in the ledger value of the item shall be the proportional share of the value of the entire group of the particular property include the merger of the between the acquisition one copy and another. See instruction 2.5. Minor items of property mean with the associated parts of the items of the units of the property. 23. The net rail operating income operating revenue remaining of the deductible operating expense income tax ordinary income of the provision deferred income tax also for the arrive at the NROI deducted income lease for the road equipment of the lease of the road and the equipment of the rent loss of the for the lease road and equipment that formerly account of 509,542 respectively. 12. The net salvage value of the meaning of the salvage valve properly retired less of the cost. R25, nominally issued, apply with the fund with the debt, with the security of the capital shall for the issue with the assumed by the carrier the means of the which have the sign with the certified with the trustee, otherwise execute to play with the proper, with the officer, with the sale, with the delivery, with the place, with the otherwise placed in the special fund, with the accounting summary, but which they have not been sold with the issue directly with the trustee, such for the funds in accordance with the contractual requirements. 26, nominal outstanding applied with the fund with the debt, with the security of the capital stock, the issue with the assumed by the carrier to mean with which they are being actually issued with the have reoccurred and by other accounting company with the under such circumstances required for them to be conservative as held with the law of the non-retired and canceled. Premium. 27th. As applied with the fund of the debt, security of the capital stock with the assumed with the care of the being with the excess of the cash value with the consideration received with the sale over the sum of the par of the saved value with no par stock with the face value with the interest of the dividends accrued with the date of the sale. 28. Program track replacements of the cost incurred with the part with the track replacement of the program planned and expeditionary with the program track replacements are generally performed the relatively large work game on basis of the program and authorized work of the orders of the heavy machines equipped to replace rail ties and other track with the material with the guidance of whether not capitalized see note of the text of the countings 8 and 9 and 10 11. 29. Property retire with the units of the property which have them removed with the size of the whole of the bandage destroyed which have the anything called the permanently withdrawn with the surplus of the minor items of the property not replaced. 30. Rail transportation property, rail transportation property, all property, the other aspect, or respectively ownership of the compromise, the entire operating with the devote with the rail transportation, over the definition of the compromising following accounts. 701 cash, 703 special deposits, 704 loans to the notes of the receivable, 705 the accounts receivable in interline out other balances, 706 account receivable customer, 707 accounts receivable other, 708 the receivable with affiliated companies, 709 accrued account for the receivable, 710 work fund, 711 the prepayment, 712 the material supply, 713 other current assessed, 714 deferred income tax charges, 731 road equipment property, 732 improvement to leased property, 31 salvage value, the meaning of the amount of the receipt of the sale, operating with the property with the retired left of any of the expense of the connection with the sale, in preparing with the property with the sale, if the property is retained for the reuse, the salvage value that should be recorded in account 712, material with the supply of the appropriate account with the amount with the not exceed with the record copy the actual average of the current market value with whichever is lower. Segment of the business that refers to the component of the activity with the reference of the separate major line with the business, the class of the customer, the segment that may be the informed of the subsidiary division department, but in some cases is a joint venture with the other non-subsidiary investors that provide with the assets for the result of the operations and activity clearly distinguished with the physically optional financial reporting purpose of the other asset for the result of the operations, the activities that any of the as a result of the operation for the segment of being sold, and that being that cannot be separated with identified strongly suggest the transaction should be classified as disposal of the segment of the business. A measure for the day of the measurement date with the date with which for the management have the authority to approve the action committed for the formal plan with the disposal of the segment of the business, whether by the abandonment of the sale of the measurement of the day with the disposal of the requirement of the commission approval of the shall be served with the day of the authorized order authorized with the disposal date with the refer of the day of the closing sale with the disposal is in sale of the day of the operation received with the disposal of the abandonment. 33 serve the life means the period with the between the day with the operating properly with license serve the day with the retirement. 38 4 serve the value with the means of the ledger of the availing operating property less than solid ledger values. Definition 17. 35. Track maintenance of the material with the labor cost with the routine track with the repair with the sporadic type replacement of the repair with the broken repair rail with the tightening track with the bolts with the track spikes. More complete list of the maintenance items are included with the notes text account with the 8 and 9 and 11. 36. The work equipment means which can be coupled with the train with the movement of the carrier tracks which is you the carrier workers services and such equipment listing with the accounting 57 the work equipment. Alright, your general instructions.